It's never really been my drug of choice. It's just kind of a fallback. My childhood actually was pretty normal. We moved a lot, but other than that, I had two parents that are actually still married, which is pretty rare these days. Um, my Both of my parents are alcoholics. I'm the adult child of alcoholic parents. My dad quit drinking when I was 7. I can still remember the car ride to go and pick him up from the side of the road where he had gotten pulled over for he didn't actually get a DUI, but he had gotten pulled over. But he quit immediately after that, and that was the end of his drinking career. My mom still drank socially, but was kind of a repressed addict, alcoholic at that point. And she didn't really start her drinking career until I was in my late 20s or 30s, and has since quit and be sober 4 years in December. My dad's been sober for 30 something years now. So I am actually a 4th-generation alcoholic. My great grandpa and my grandpa were also alcoholics. Apparently, it just runs in my family like crazy. So my grandpa, my mom's dad, had been sober for 20 something years at this point. Used to have these massive blowout Christmas parties, and there was always alcohol and booze there. It didn't bother him apparently. So he instructed me one year when I was about 16, I think, to be the bartender, and he taught me, this is my bartender training from Grandpa, that every time you made a drink for somebody, that you just made a little bit extra and you poured that into your designated red Solo cup, and that was your drink for the night. And so that was the first time I really got buzzed, which was really kind of messed up because it was my alcoholic grandpa who's been sober telling me to do this, knowing that it obviously runs in our genetics. I don't think my parents knew about this because they were always kind of weird about me drinking underage. Like, we weren't allowed to have anything. So other than that, I think the first time I really got really drunk was at 17 when I went over to a friend's party and they were playing quarters and I didn't know how to play. So they ganged up on me and I got really, really sick. But puked all over her bathroom. Her poor mom had to clean it up. Like, it was bad. And then the next day I came home and I told my dad that I thought I had food poisoning from the night before. And he didn't believe me, obviously. I'm sure I still stunk of like the Dos Equis and Smirnoff Ice that we were playing with, which I still cannot drink or smell to this day. And he told me to go outside and mow the lawn. So drinking really, like, I was just really a social drinker. I would sometimes have some at night, stuff like that. As I got married pretty young, about 21, and we got pregnant. I had 2 kids with my first husband. We were together. We had met when we were 16 years old in high school. And we were together until we were like 31, and we got a divorce. And shortly after that, I met another guy, and we got married really quickly, way too quickly. And he was pretty abusive, both verbally and physically abusive. And so I started drinking to numb that. It was no longer social, like just at night kind of thing. It was to numb the abuse, to numb the words he would say to me, to numb the words that he would say to my kids even. Like, it was just really messed up. And then he got a medical marijuana card, and so I was doing both of those things, and it wasn't quite enough to numb it, but it was enough to kind of deal with it and live with it. And then it became to the point where like I felt like I needed it in the morning, and I was like doing all these things, and then we got pregnant, and so I cut back, and I was only having like 2 or 3 glasses of wine a day, which is more than recommendation, I know. And I was still smoking pot, and at about 28 weeks pregnant, I had a stomach ulcer rupture, and at that point, it had gone so far, the stomach ulcer rupture had gone so long without me going to the doctor, that I ended up having a spontaneous abortion. And so went to the hospital, and my daughter Reagan was born at 28 weeks preemie, but her heart rate was only 90 when I got there. And so she went straight into the NICU. I went straight into another surgery. And I also have, I still have, but I have bipolar, and it was undiagnosed at the time. And so at that point when I was in the hospital, they had found the marijuana and the alcohol in her system, because I do test on the cord blood of anyone who's born spontaneously like that and prematurely. And so my parents and I decided it was a good idea for me to go to treatment to get diagnosed with bipolar and to get some treatment for some alcohol, which, I wasn't a full alcoholic at that point, looking back, but it was definitely the beginning stages. And so I went to treatment, and I was there while Reagan was still in the NICU, and at 17 days, we decided to pull her off the ventilator. And so that was really, really difficult. But I managed to, after that treatment, stay sober for a year and some change, almost a year and a half, up until the anniversary of her death day again. And that's just kind of set me off. It was about a month after that anniversary that I relapsed again. And then just kind of was able to drink normally, in air quotes, for a little while. And then it just kind of like that grief overtook me, because I was really never able to grieve properly through all of that. I still don't know that I have. And so it just kind of rolled into a couple years of a run, and to the point where I was shaking in the morning if I didn't drink. And so grief did some really terrible things to me. And I need to mention that while I was in treatment, I also managed to get a divorce from that. So at the end of that run, I actually got to the point where I'd gotten kicked out of, the place I was living, and was just kind of wandering the streets after a car accident, and finally called my parents for help. Like, I really didn't have anywhere to go. And called my parents and said, okay, I'm ready to come back to treatment, which is what landed me back out in California now. So there's no easy thing to do, and it's never going to be an easy thing to do. The easiest thing to do is going to be to go to the liquor store and buy yourself another drink, or to go take the next drug. But I would encourage you to try, because you deserve it for yourself, and those around you deserve it. And it's just, I've been in a couple different programs now, and just not giving up is the key, I think. Even if you've fallen, 15 times, pick yourself up 16 times. No one's going to judge you. It is the hardest thing, and if you're sitting there right now watching this and you're not sure what else to do, like, call and ask for help. That's the easiest thing you can do. And if you don't like what they say, hang up the phone and call again tomorrow. You still don't like what they say, try it again. Maybe one day it's going to click.